Good evening and welcome back. This weekend we have a game on Sunday. Yep, we play St Mirren, the opening game for Celtic for the season 25-26. And Brendan Rodgers will have a press conference on, I think it'll be Thursday or Friday afternoon, won't it? And he'll be asked a certain amount of questions. So it got me in a bit of a mood. And I thought, that's a perfect poll question to ask the fans. How many questions not related to the game will Brendan Rodgers be asked this weekend or this week in the press conference? Your options are 2 questions that are not related to the game at all, 3 questions that are not related to the game, 4 questions, or every single one of them. And then Brendan Rodgers will turn around and say, that we do have a game this weekend. That's kind of the way that it's went before. When you look back, old press conferences of the manager, and he gets to around about the 18-minute mark or so after being asked question after question after question. And then when he gets to about the 18-minute mark, he says, you do remember we have a game this weekend? And then you get around about 3 minutes worth of questions to do with the game, and then that's it, end of press conference. Get the popcorn ready. Get the popcorn ready for Brendan Rodgers' press conference this week, because it's going to be fun and games, isn't it? There is breaking news tonight again when it comes to Celtic and the go-ahead Eagles. They're standing firm on their valuation, says Anthony Joseph of Sky News. He said that Jacob does want to come to Celtic, but Celtic going in with an offer of 1.3 million, then 2.6 million. They are holding out for their valuation of £5 million for the 21-year-old player. Celtic have also been linked today with another player, a younger player, young Liverpool player, another young player. Yes, you say another young player. And Brendan Rodgers has been looking for a midfield player. We'll be linked with a 38-year-old one as we speak. But Brendan Rodgers is taking a shine, it says, to Stefan, who's here. But it could come into some difficulties, that one. He is contracted to Liverpool until 2027, and it looks like Liverpool will go with the structure being a loan to buy deal if they can get the deal done. It is another young player, another 20-year-old. Will he come in and go straight into the team? The young Spanish player is obviously of a calibre that he went to Liverpool at a young... It's got Ben Doak written all over it, isn't it? It has got Ben Doak written all over it. Although I don't know what's happened to Ben Doak, if he's still at Liverpool or if he's been sold. I do believe that Liverpool were chancing their arm trying to get 20 million for Ben Doak. I don't know how he's worth that. He's never achieved nothing. If Ben Doak's worth 20 million, it's time to just hang up the... It's like, just fucking call it quits and just be done with it. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers will face the media this week. Sorry, not this weekend. We play this weekend. He will face the media this weekend. And the first question will be, how's the squad? How's everyone looking? Is there any injuries? It's the standard question that he gets asked every single Scottish Premier League game. How's the squad, and is there anybody injured? No, they're all fine. And then it's boom, straight into it. Straight into the killer questions. So, transfers. It's fuck. With the fact that we're playing it really slow, Peter King says we don't need another fringe player. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. And I'm starting to wonder who's actually in charge. Is Paul Tisdale secretly running the show, and Brendan Rodgers is just, do you know what? I liked it. I preferred football when a manager was a manager. Brendan Rodgers is slowly turning into a first team coach. And as this season goes, he's turning into a Ronnie Dyler. Evening, Lorna, not seen you for a while. He's turning more into a Ronnie Dyler first team coach thing that he was at Celtic. It's not the best way to be going into a season, but it's just a feeling that I get how he is. Scott Finlay says, our board are discussing, do you think that clubs will want to do business with us knowing we offer very little? The thing is they've come out and said, that they're not a difficult club to work with regards to transfers. Now, the fact that we're looking at a Manchester City defender in Jameer Simpson-Pussy, what does that say to Dane Murray? Dane Murray, who Brendan Rodgers trusted to go onto the pitch in a Champions League game last season, said that he wanted to give him more game time last season, but he unfortunately got injured. If we bring in Simpson-Pussy and he gets more game time than Dane Murray, what does it say to Dane Murray? And does that put Dane Murray in a position where he goes, do you know what, I'm just going to leave Celtic? And it's the further we go down this type of road, do you know, of pushing players away, we've got to make them good enough. I mean, going for a 19-year-old from a 20-year-old from Liverpool and a 19-year-old from Manchester City says to our younger players that are coming through the system and that are getting put out on loan, you're not good enough. And if it was me and I was a young guy at Celtic, I'd be trying to get out there as fast as I could. I would. It's after all the nonsense that Brendan Rodgers said towards the end of last season. He said, I give youth a chance. Well, a chance of getting out of Celtic as quick as they can. That's the only chance that you're giving them. But anyway, you better not play like a pussy. No. Well, don't even want to talk about that, do we? So anyway, the vote tonight, we've got 104 votes in already. How many questions not related to the game will Brendan Rodgers be asked this week at the press conference? And 42%, them all. He then says, we have a game this weekend. You could see it happen, innit? I think we need a couple of big name players. Well, Edward, you might have your way, because get hold onto your hat, strap in, sit back, get your pipe and smoke it, because Celtic again have been linked with Vardy. Andy Walker says he wouldn't rule out a surprise Celtic move for Jamie Vardy. If we go for Vardy, it's Brendan Rodgers' last season at Celtic. That's my prediction. Brendan Rodgers is leaving Celtic at the end of the season. If we go for Vardy, it's game over for Brendan. I think that it's I mean, loan players are bad enough, but bringing in, I mean, I don't think that we're going to go for Vardy. I think that it's been absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But there's other people starting to talk about it, and it's never going to happen. We're never going to go for him. Not a chance. And the fact that he's still without a club, I mean, says it all. And I don't care what the quality he has. And if Brendan Rodgers turns in and he goes, he's got quality, fucking, it's game over. It is. Anyway. I'm just seeing that there's another update coming in here. Oh, that was a very touchy comment. Anyway, yeah, that's all that's going on tonight. So what do you think about it? I was going for the Liverpool player. I just think that Rodgers is leaving. That's why the signings will be like this. The more and more that we get to the starting point of the season, one thing that Brendan Rodgers will be asked in the coming weeks, once the season gets underway this weekend, and talk will turn at some point over the next 6 weeks, maybe once the window's shut, talk will turn to the manager of his future. And he'll side bat it, and he'll side bat it, and he'll side bat it. And he's like, we're in the middle of this. We've not even got the season started. He'll talk about wanting to do well in the cups. He'll talk about wanting to do well in Europe. And he'll say these things all come before we need to talk about a contract, which means he's leaving. I want Celtic to be well down the line of lining up their next manager. Well, because I don't want to go into next summer and be fucking about the way that we have in the past. But anyway, we've got an absolutely fantastic season ahead of us because, as well as the Cup, we've got to play in a few weeks. We do have also the Champions League. So it's all looking good. It is all looking good. I'm not seeing another team showing interest in Run. A 6 million United player or 1.5 million for. There's been a few teams put in offers. If you look back, at the look back to May and early June. Look at the standard and the price tag of the players that we were linked with. Do you know they were all 8 million and above, really. We all thought we were going to spend a summer of getting maybe 4 or 5 to 10 million pound players in. And we thought we would do our business quick. But we haven't. The standard is the pecking order. It's not the standard. I say the pecking order of the player that we're now after has to be down to around about the third tier, the third choice. We must be at third choice pickings by now. That's the way that I see it. I think it would be interesting to know if there was a list, if Brendan Rodgers give the board a dossier towards the end of last season, because he spoke a lot about getting these players in for pre-season and all this stuff, and it's starting to get a little bit tedious. Get Ben Doak back up the road, Brendan. They want 20 million for him, Jinky. I don't know where they're getting the valuation of 20 million, but they allegedly want 20 million for Ben Doak. Ben Doak's not the answer anyway. He's not the answer. I think that whatever happens this season, there's one thing for sure. Let's just back the team and let's keep nonsense just away from it. Let's just go into the season fully backing the team and back the manager as long as he's here. That's all I ask. And that's all I hope for the fans, is back the manager as long as he's here. And as long as he's pushing 110% for Celtic to do better. Because nothing's going to change at Celtic. As much as we want things to change, he's worth 20 million if Ku's worth 17. I've said before, the transfer window opened up, there would be no massive spending on players. Paul, you were right. And the players that we were linked with way early on in the window, they've just petered out or they've went elsewhere. So it's weird. And it's a case of, I'm not going to get downbeat, or I'm not going to get thingy against the players that are here. Because the players that are here, especially this season, I think that, this has got a bit of a feel of going into the Ronnie Dyler season. This season. It has a similar feel to where the fans were disillusioned and the fans decided not to take up season books in great numbers the way that they had previously. And whilst us that went to games, it was an absolutely brilliant time. And I think that if the worst happens this season and we start getting bad results in Europe, we get a couple of... Not a problem. When you start looking at potential embarrassments in the Champions League and such like, it's not going to be Brendan Rodgers' fault, and it's not going to be the players that we've got's fault. That's a certainty. But fans will target the players and say they're not good enough, and etc. etc. And then they'll take their vengeance out on Brendan Rodgers. When I think that Brendan Rodgers this year deserves a bit of leeway from the fans. It's just my own personal opinion. I think he does deserve a little bit of leeway from the fans due to the inability of the board to get the deals done that he wants. Because I'm starting to believe the fact that we're going for players that seem to be further down the pecking order than was maybe originally thought by Celtic or Brendan Rodgers. It does seem to be the case that we are trying to go for players that could potentially be worth a lot more in years to come, but isn't helping the team right now. In other words, they're just prospect players. Brendan Rodgers never takes responsibility. He will blame everyone but himself. But Paul, wait a minute here. Before the ball's even kicked, the team's weaker than it was last year. We're going in. We cannot lose Yang, said Brendan Rodgers. We've lost Kuhn, right? And we've lost Jota until January. We're weaker. We're going to play Yang as a winger. Come on, mate. You know that's a weakened team. We're weaker. We are weaker than we were last summer. We may have brought in Yamada. We may have brought in young Osmond. He's one for the future. He should be, he's not one to be playing this one. Who's the Liverpool guy in the picture? He's a young 20-year-old Spaniard that Celtic are linked with. He's a young 20-year-old Spaniard Celtic have been linked with. But he does have 2 years left on his contract at Liverpool. The 20-year-old defensive midfield player has been at Liverpool since 2020. He established himself in the first team, but then he was put out on loan to Red Bull Salzburg and then Las Palmas last season. A lot of good that done them because they got relegated, didn't they? Celtic have brought in Tierney, Osmond, Rostohan, Benji, Inamura, Shin Yamada. That's 6 players that we've brought in. And I think only Yamada, Benji and Kieran are 3 first team starts out of that lot. They're the only 3 first team starts. And we've lost Greg Taylor, as well as other players out the squad. The squad's weaker. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I think personally the squad is weaker as we start. The season starts this week. God, Celtic are totally pushing the merch to the limit, aren't they? When you look at the team, right, we've got a great goalkeeper in Sinisalo. It's going to be... Kasper Schmeichel will get the nod the first game. But if Kasper Schmeichel lets in 1 goal, I think that Brendan Rodgers has to look at Sinisalo for number 1 goalkeeper. When you look at what we've got We're not stronger in defence, right? We're not stronger in defence. We've got Alistair Johnston, we've got Liam Scales, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Inamura, Tony Ralston, Stephen Welsh, and Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney has made us slightly better. Trusty and Scales should be looking over their back because I think that Dane Murray could be pushing them for a place. We're not stronger, but this is the same defence now that we've had for a couple of years. Stephen Welsh could still leave the club. Is that why we're bringing in another defender, a young guy from Liverpool on loan to buy, because Stephen Welsh will be leaving the club? It was expected at the beginning of the transfer window when Celtic were in Portugal, before they went to Portugal actually, it was expected that Stephen Welsh would leave the club this window. Hence the reason he was given the armband a couple of the games. Now when you look at the midfield, it's the same midfield for the last 2 seasons now. Wait a minute. So we've got Luke McCowan, Arnie Engels, Paulo Bernardo, Rio Hatate and Callum McGregor as your midfield. We're a midfielder short. Celtic do have James Forrest in the midfield, but he's further forward. So as it stands just now, we're a midfielder short if you're playing 3 along the middle. Although Benji does fit into that category, into the backup. And then the forward positions. The firepower up front, what Celtic have been renowned for. Dyson Maeda, Johnny Kenny, Marco Tilio, he'll be gone. Callum Osmond, he's not worth it. He's a youngster that's not going to make an impact at all. Shin Yamada, we'll still see what Shin can do. Hopefully he can be the replacement for Kyogo Furiashi. You've then got Yang on the wing, Adam Ida and Benji. But it's still to be said what position Benji's going to play in. They've got him as a forward on here, but Brendan's been playing him as a holding midfield player. We're not stronger. There's nothing saying... There's nothing fearful about this team or the bench. The team struggled towards the end of last season. Struggled. And people say about, won it by 17 points. As soon as teams go to a back 5, back 6, we struggle. These players struggled last season. There is nothing that is telling me this at this point that we're stronger and that Brendan Rodgers can get the better of the rest of the managers in the SPFL. Now, especially when you've got other teams saying that we've brought in, and I'm not talking about Sevco. There's other teams out there saying that they've brought in 5 players and they've made their squad stronger. They've made their teams stronger. I just think that we might have brought players in, but the turnaround that we've had in the squad are not really any better. Being far too critical, that's the squad with Radman, Tierney, Benji, top 3. Yeah, but when they go off on the second half, Reg 67, right? Say you're 60 minutes into a game and they're looking a bit knackered because they played in the Champions League. Their squad isn't strong enough. You can say that the squad is... Right, here's your starting 11 for the weekend. Kasper Schmeichel, Alistair Johnston, Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Kieran Tierney. Right? Kieran Tierney is the only new face in the defence, right? So that leaves you Stephen Welsh, Tony Ralston, Inamura, and Liam Scales to fight out for positions on the bench. I reckon that Inamura will be on the bench and Scales won't be on the bench. Tony Ralston will be on the bench. You then look at the midfield. You're going to start with Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, and Arnie Engels. That means Paulo Bernardo will be on the bench and Luke McCowan will be fighting out for a position on the bench. And then when it comes to the front 3, you're going to have Benji you're going to have Yamada, and then you're going to have Daisen Maeda. Shin Yamada, Benji, and Daisen. Johnny Kenny, surplus to requirements, on the bench. Marco Tilly won't get the bench because Yang will be on the bench, so he'll be surplus to requirements. The numbers wise, he won't get on the bench. Callum Osmond won't get on the bench. Jota is out injured, so that means your bench is going to be Johnny Kenny. It's going to be Yang. It's then going to be Luke McCown and Paulo Bernardo, Stephen Welsh, Tony Ralston and Inamura and Sinisalo. That bench doesn't put the frighteners up anyone. Do you know, I'm not disputing that the squad, we can still do stuff with this squad, but it doesn't have the depth and quality to see us out. Adam Ida will start. Do you think so? I don't think so. I think Shin Yamada will start. But as Brendan says, Yang is a first team starter for the time being. Yeah, for the time being. He could say he's a first team starter, so that means he's not playing Benji as a winger. So he's going to put Benji in the holding midfield role. So he's going to miss someone else out in midfield. So that means your midfield is going to be Benji, Callum, Rio Hatate, which then leaves players that that means that Luke McCown might not even get the bench, because if Arnie Engels is playing Paulo Bernardo, and you've still got James Forrest. Do you know what I mean? There's players that are going to sit the first game of the season, and one of them will be Marco Tilio, and he's going to sit. And I'm going to even say Callum Osmond. I don't think he'll even make the bench. But then what's really disappointing is no one has been promoted up into the first team from the B team. When you look at the academy players, I mean, Dane Murray is still classed as an academy player, even though he's not in the academy playing tonight. And the Celtic B team are playing tonight. Celtic B. 40 minutes in to that game. Gretna 2008. Did Gretna make a comeback in 2008? They renamed themselves. I thought they died off altogether. The Lowland League has started, and Celtic are currently 0-0. 40 minutes into the game, Celtic sit 0-0. I mean, it's even when you just look at the teams. Do you know what I mean? It's like the teams that they're playing is just a waste of time, isn't it? But anyway, the team for the B team tonight, the players. Oh, come on, where is it? The lineups for Celtic are... It's not even giving me it now. That's just substitutes. Where's the lineups? Why is Google went all funny and disappeared with the the lineups? Anyway, who cares? It's the B team. There's no use even worrying about the B team, is there? Anyway, how many votes we had on this poll this evening? We had 206. How many questions not related to the game will Brendan Rodgers be asked this week? Them all is winning. 41%, them all, and then he then says, we have a game. Which is true. Right, let's jump into the Gretna 2008. We're infamous to rebrand. Ignominious to rebrand like that. Just unlike Rangers 2012. Yeah. The line-ups on Celtic. I'm not even bothered about it, Michelle, because you know Dane Murray's not there, and it's like he should feel tonight, if you're sitting looking at Celtic being linked with a 20-year-old 20-year-old coming from Man City on loan, you're better to be sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute, I'm not getting a game for the B team. You're bringing a player in on loan that's the same age as me from Liverpool with an option to buy. What's my position in the team? Don't know. Anyway, any chance we can hijack the boy from Spurs signing for the Zombies? Why would you want to? Baz, would you sign Vardy? Nope. Not a chance. No. Why would you sign a 38-year-old player? It's fine when it's a goalkeeper. I would say it's fine when it's a goalkeeper. Because, let's face it, a goalkeeper's not being over-exuberant for 90 minutes. But when it's an outfield player, come on. We're 10, 15 years past all that nonsense. Do you know, that's the kind of stuff that we used to bring in on transfer deadline day in the winter window on a cold January night. When you got a big crowd, when you got 2,000 or 3,000 people going to Celtic Park for 11:30 at night because we were going to sign Robbie Keane and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if that's the way that we're going, I tell you one thing, I'm glad Celtic's not taking £2,500 a year off me for a club Celtic season ticket. Because there's no way would I pay $2,500 for those season tickets now with Vardy coming well into this team. Not a chance. And I'd want it because he's an excellent winger. He's past it, man. If a player like him, if he was not past it, why has he not got another team? Why is he not being picked up by another club? Vardy's a hun anyway. Fuck off. Hey, that's true. Right, we're going to get this poll up. There's been over 1,500 people on the live, and there is only 219 votes. Let's get it to the 250 votes, and then we'll close the poll down. How many questions not related to the game will Brendan Rodgers be asked this week? 2, 3, 4, or them all? Let's dive into the comments section. Pork Chops Express says, at my age, this might be the last pussy I see. Talking about a Celtic player. Jesus God. Square Sausage Mix said it's fake news about Vardy. I think so, but it's just the fact that the media know that Celtic are going. I mean, there's Snails just overtook us on the transfer market and spent more. That's saying something. 6 million spent so far. Is it? It's not even 6 million. It's about 3 or 4. We've not even spent 6 million. We've brought in more. We've brought in, 23 million we've brought in so far in the transfer window. So, do you know, it's, if pussy starts, does that mean we have Iron Curtain defence? Oh, God, that's just not even right, Monty. You can tell it's one of those slow midweek news sections where we're getting linked with players. And who is in charge of this late show when it comes to players? Because it seems to be now that we're being linked with players because it's oh shit time. The same happened last season when very early on in the season, what was it? It's this first or second game, Kyogo Furiashi goes down with his shoulder, and Kyogo Furiashi scares the living daylights out of everyone. And Marco Tellio, Celtic blocking a move. Oh, for fuck's sake. Celtic are blocking the move of Marco Tellio to Austrian side Rapid Wien. Then the Australian international won't be allowed to leave until Celtic get another winger. We're a shambles, man. We are a shambles. So that's 2 players that want away. Yang wants away. Norwich have pulled the plug on that. Yang said he wanted to go to Norwich. Marco Tellio wants away. Brendan Rodgers can say all he wants that Yang's a first team starter. Yang turned around and says, listen, I want to go and talk to Norwich. And Celtic said, no, this isn't a good position to be in, Celtic. Do you know, block it. This is what happened with Kyogo Furuhashi last year. And then he was, except none of us knew it. None of us knew that Kyogo wanted away. We know that these players want away. So if you take Yang and Tilio out the equation for the team, the players that we have in the forwards position is basically Johnny Kenny, Dyson, Shin Yamada, Callum Osmond, Adam Ida, and Benji, but we don't know what position he plays. And people are saying, stop worrying. Bad's overthinking it. I'm not overthinking it. That's news that's coming in. That's news right now. Marco Tilio is Celtic blocking a move. Celtic are blocking the transfer of Marco Tilio to Austrian side. The Australian international won't be allowed to leave until we sign another winger. That's news on Twitter. There's no overthinking it at all. It's fact. Do you know? Anyway. It's just madness. It is madness, right? Let's see if we can finish this poll. Come on, the poll's getting really close. I need 9 votes for the poll to get to the 250. And there's been 1,700 people online and only 242 votes. How many questions not related to the game will Brendan Rodgers be asked this week? 40% are going for them all. And then he'll say we have a game, as he always does. Lorna says, Paul, I've never heard you say that before. How are you, Lorna? Anyway, I'm missing a lot of the comments. Few injuries away from field and youth team again. Yes, we are. And this is what people don't realise. People can say, come on, Baz, there's still time. Yeah, there is still time. There is still time. But at this point in the season, just like last season, I voted all of the above. The exact same as last year. Brendan Rodgers will say it will be interesting to see what he says to the press conference this week, because he's going to get asked about every single player that we've been linked with over the transfer window. But as that young player in the picture is fake news from a Liverpool webpage, has the last 2,000 followers. Well, there's a few other sites talking. I've never seen that one, but if that's where the stories came from, it's Casey, get the popcorn ready. Dan Cassie's in the house. I don't want Brendan Rodgers to go anywhere. Dan, you said Kyogo was going nowhere, so for me that's it. Brendan Rodgers is at the door. Cool, Lorna. I hope you're good. You're one of the good ones on the channel. The rest of these all are as well, but just Lorna's a cracker. And I hope all's okay. At this point, it's just dross or loans. Exactly. And we're getting into the dross section of the transfer window. You know, we went into it with such high hopes. It's like we're like a rocket going to the sky. And then we realised that we were on him that owns X's rocket, and it blows up on before it even gets up. It's meant to go up, take off and come back down and land again, and it just blows up sitting there. That's our transfer window. Yes, I think for Kyogo for 2, spent 5 million. 41 million from Kyogo and Kuhn. What are you talking about? We only got 10 million for Kyogo, and that was in January. That's nothing to do with this window. This window we've only made 23 million. I'm bending the pole. It's getting too close for curtains. For high hopes to damp squid. Yes. We're all working very hard behind the scenes to get deals over the line. Standard answer. Ian Thompson. You win the internet tonight. Good to see you behind the scenes on our channel. You have Baz? Yep. Yeah, I've seen that you're on that one, mate. You've 100 million was scratching around Buckshee basement bucket. I know. It is just, it's one of those things. It's like you're going to take the missus out for an expensive meal and you just go to McDonald's. And that's the shopping market that we're in. Anyway, keep the money for the next incoming manager. Do you think that will make a change? I don't think it's going to make a change. I don't think that Celtic are in the midst of one of their cycles. I'm not stressed about it. We've seen this before. We've seen it under Gordon Strachan. We've seen it under Ronnie Dyler. And now it's Brendan Rodgers' turn. We've seen it under Martin O'Neill. We've seen it under Gordon Strachan. Don't even talk about Mowbray, because that was just a nightmare. We've seen it, and it's just repeating itself. And I thought that back in 2020, when we brought in, we tried but couldn't get the deals over the line. Here's buy another 10 sets of merchandise, says Irishman in Porto. This is true. See, back in 2020 when we brought in a brand new CEO and we brought in a brand new manager, and it was a new dawn, and it was a new way of running the club, and it was a new forward thinking manager, and you felt as if the club was having a change of direction. Do you not feel that we've just went backwards to the way that we were back in 2019? As in the way that the club was on a forward and upward trajectory when it came to the markets that it was going to enter, the going over to Japan to do the tour in Japan, going to America to do the tour in America. Everything was all positive and going in the right direction, and it was all about generating more income. But the reality of the fact is the income has to be generated by the static fan base that we have already. The fan base isn't getting any bigger. So the only way to make more money is to fleece the current fan base that you've got for even more. We should be spending at least 20 million. Only 5 million is nowhere near what we should be doing. Yeah, exactly. Just about to say we don't need a change of direction. We just need to move forward rapidly. But we're not moving forward. I don't think so. I don't think that the enthusiasm that we all had when Ange came in and when Dominic Mackay sat and spoke to the media, it was all new and it was fresh, and the fan base got right behind it, and we got right behind Ange, and you know, it was the form that we've found since Ange has been around is quickly being eroded. The goodwill from the fans of, yes, let's take the club in a new kind of direction. Let's get in transfers early in the window. Do you know, let's change the transfer policy, rip it up, throw it out the window, start again, and bring in players quicker. Ange Postecoglou standing telling the media, if we know a player's going to go the next window, we bring in a player the window before so that he's bedded in for 6 months before we sell him. I'm only talking about things that have actually happened. It's all about momentum, says Monty. Don't need a change of direction, need a change of directors. Irishman in Porto, that's something that I've advocated for a long time. Reg says, come on, I think there's time yet. This is what it's like to feel Celtic. Sleeping again at the wheel. You know, Brendan Rodgers will leave after 5 in a row. Yeah. New song. Waiting for Poundland to drop the prices to go down to 50 pence. It's what it's like, isn't it? It's like the Celtic board are waiting on the yellow stickers to come out in the supermarket. They still do the yellow stickers. And you go in around about 5:30 at night. And you see all the stuff. You see, you're standing waiting for the lady, the wee guy or the wee woman to come out with a gun. That's the one. She's got the yellow stickers. That's it. I'm going in. You come out with freaking 2 weeks worth of meat that you've got to freeze that night because it goes out of date tomorrow. That's like Celtic doing the transfers. Honestly, I think that we have got people in charge now who know how to make money but are useless at running a football club. There's no happy medium. I understand that we're trying to get quality, but they want to go to stronger leagues. For now, it won't even make a big difference. Yeah. Why are we being so tight? We're loaded. I don't think it's been about tight. I think it's about... I'm not too sure. I think it's there's something in the mentality of the Celtic board and Nicholson to just go in and say, right, we're going to give you a quarter of what you're wanting for the player. I mean, I spoke about it last night. I mean, we want top money for our players. And it's amazing how quick the deal got done for Nico Kuhn to leave. Do you know, the deals that when players are being sold and we want them sold, the deal's done quick. Just saying, picked up lube with a sticker on it. It was a bargain price of mutton. They put barriers around the yellow sticker man when he's putting them on in my Tesco's. Wait to see if we qualify for the Champions League. I think it is Monotic, Mick. I think that we're... there we go. Viva la Cuenta Llamada. We've signed them from the land of the rising sun. That's got a ring to it. This bad feeling before a ball was kicked. Better hope that we beat St Mirren this time. I think if we drop points, first game of the season. Whereas, did you read the story about Effie Ambrose turned up late for his new team? The team had to start the game with 10 players. No, I never heard that. We're tight with the cash. We are that. How soon will the Green Brigade get banned by the board? Square Sausage Mick, I'm going to say before the Rangers game. I'm going to say before the Rangers game, and then they'll not get tickets for Ibrox. That's my prediction. That's a nice one. Yeah, that's my prediction. They'll get banned the week before the Ibrox game, and they will not be allowed tickets for the fixture. So they'll come in first game of the season. They'll have a little protest banner because they're not allowed to do a tifo. We're away to Aberdeen. We've then got Falkirk in the Cup. We've got Livingston. Something will happen at the Falkirk game, I reckon. And when it comes to the game at Livingston at Celtic Park, they'll then be given their marching orders and they'll be given a ban. I hope they're not. Do you know, it's just the way Celtic are going. And the fact that Nicholson hasn't spoke to the Green Brigade for a couple of years now, it's back to normal, isn't it? Fans hating on the board. Oh well, at least we're going into the new season full of the joys of a fantastic anticipated campaign this season. Anyway, there was no one there at this point. I was actually clear the Hoover run. What? I need to go back and read these messages once I come off this. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for tonight. Should we keep going? Should we just keep going? I'm going to check just if there's any Celtic updates. Apart from Marco Tilio not being allowed to leave Celtic. Oh, God. That's going to be all your headlines for tonight. The Glasgow Evening Times has now came out with it. Marco Tilio is not allowed to leave Celtic. We're now keeping a hold of players that are just garbage, man. They're just garbage. I mean, Marco Tilio, Celtic won't let him leave until they secure a replacement. And then the same goes for Yang. So it's just nonsense. It is just nonsense, honestly. This is what I'm talking about. You know, under Ange, he said we get the players in first. You know, don't care if we've got a big squad. Get the players in, then we'll know that we've got the replacement. already there, happened. When you look at it, we brought in Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly could not get near the first team because of Aaron Moy. But Ange knew that Aaron Moy was maybe going to hang up his boots. And he did. Aaron Moy chucked it with a year to go in his contract. And then Matt O'Reilly gets a game. We don't do that anymore. We don't. And that's regression. That's managed decline. I've said it. I think we're officially in a period of managed. I said I wasn't going to say it. No wingers, maybe swingers. Maybe all the wingers are doing at that swingers festival that was down in England. Why did they let Kuhn go then? Because they were offered good money. Yeah, because they were offered good money. Danny McGrain maybe garbage now, but he's no left. I think he's still kicking about. It's going to be the stage where you're going to be like going around and just asking some of the older ones. I wouldn't ask Simon Donnelly, though. He's a rat. Just saying. And on a happy note, the Buns have been the dirtiest ground in Britain. And I noticed that the Celtic ones, the Celtic Park has been named the cleanest ground. Oh, that will get them right up in a little mess anyway, won't it? Right, that is me done and dusted for tonight, because the news out there is just depression. Brendan Rodgers not allowing players to leave. I mean, why are we not going for a player like that? I mean, Wrexham have made an approach for Ipswich Town forward Nathan Broadhead, and they're prepared to pay $7 million. Wrexham's prepared to pay $7 million for a player. That's embarrassing. Getting it isn't. It's getting worse. It's unbelievable. Anyway, Celtic have been linked with this player allegedly, but it could be complete nonsense for all we know. Doesn't it make you just so happy to be Celtic? Cheers, Baz and Troops, to Stuart Ramsey. Big shout out to Jim McClarty. Big shout out to Lorna and everyone else on the channel, Michelle, Lindsay, and everyone else. Baz, like your shows, but this week is just depressing. Kieran, it's the way that Celtic are going. I think that, I mean, for all the excitement and positivity that I had at the weekend, I think that Celtic are slowly and surely draining the positivity out of me the closer that we get to the season. But no doubt that will all change tomorrow, because it is hump day. Yes, it is the half day of the week, and you never know, we might bring in Pussy on hump day. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world. Bring on Pussy on hump day. It's just quality.